Hi everyone, I'm Kate. I'm the nurse educator here at Women's Health Network. Today we're going to be talking about the top secrets of aging well, and we're going to dig pretty deep into this topic with three of our medical experts who will be answering your most frequently asked questions on how to age well and anti-aging. So joining the discussion we have medical anthropologist and certified clinical nutritionist specializing in osteoporosis, Dr. Susan Brown, who is joining us from New York. Hi, Susan.
Hi, hello.
And we also have our naturopathic doctor and primary care health practitioner here, Dr. Sharon Stills from Arizona. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, everyone.
And we also have our board-certified neurologist joining us from Florida, Dr. Julie Schwartzbard. Hi, Julie.
Hello.
So we might as well get started. Our first question is, what is aging? Susan, we'll have you start us off by defining what it means to age.
Okay. Well, to me, it's quite simple. Aging is, to me, an expression of that universal natural law that everything in the universe is actually born from nothing, born from great creative intelligence, manifest, so you have a stage of birth, growth, and then maintenance. With human lifespan, we like to have that maintenance be a nice long span, and then everything in the universe ends up in decline and eventual dissolution. So aging is a very natural process. The fascinating thing about human health and human aging is that we can extend the lifespan, extend that period of healthy maintenance of our physical, our mental body, our spiritual body, and then eventually, like everything else in the universe, recycle. That's my idea of aging.
All right. Yeah, that sounds about right. Great. So now we'll start getting into the juicy questions. What's your best advice for aging well? Julie, what are some of your favorite tips?
Well, when it comes to aging well, I think the most important thing to keep in mind is remaining active. And when we talk about activity, we're talking both mind and body. So body sounds pretty obvious. We're talking about exercise. The general threshold that I usually recommend is 30 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. Most of the medical literature shows that if you're maintaining that level of exercise, you are going to be doing the best that you can for your body. And when it comes to your mind, most people, I think, especially patients that come to me, they want to do crossword puzzles, they want to do math puzzles and read the newspaper, and I strongly encourage that they do all of that to keep their mind busy and active. But that's mostly left brain type activity, and there's been much study looking into how important it is to keep the right side of the brain active, and that seems to be, if not as important, maybe even more important. And so by that we mean creative endeavors. Anything from language to learning to write poetry to gardening, anything that is going to utilize your ability to creatively express yourself is actually a really important key to living well and aging well.
Okay, so not a bad idea to maybe sign up for a class or, just never stop learning.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, excellent.
And keeping in mind that it's not just didactic learning, but actually fun, creative stuff too.
Cool. Great. Sharon, what advice do you have for looking and feeling good as we get older?
Well, I like to think of the way I practice medicine as getting to the root cause, and so I like to look for common denominators when I'm treating a patient. So, for example, if someone comes in and they're complaining of a low immune system or brittle nails, a loss of smell, instead of chasing all the symptoms, I may give them zinc because that's the nutrient that unifies all of those issues. So when I think about aging well, I think about some of the big things that we think about: getting enough sleep, having close connections, exercising, things of that nature. And so one of my things that I recommend for patients is that they have sex, because when you're having sex, you actually are accomplishing all of those things. It's a great common denominator to help you age and look well. When you engage in sex, you're getting exercise, you're burning calories, you're having a heart-to-heart connection with another human being, so you're having that communal experience. when we have sex, we release oxytocin, which helps to reduce cortisol and lower our stress levels. We're increasing DHEA, which is known to help with weight loss, slow down the aging process. It increases our muscle strength. So there's just so many benefits, and it's a lot of fun.
That's one of those regimens I think people would be happy to be prescribed.
Yeah, they're very excited when I take out my prescription pad and I write sex 7 nights a week.
Perfect. Yeah, so on top of that, what dietary advice might you have for maintaining a healthy body and mind as a woman ages? And what should we be eating to live longer?
Well, you know, we here at the Center for Better Bones, we really champion the Alkaline for Life diet. That's a diet that's very rich in fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. And when we look at all sorts of disease states, I'm sure Sharon would agree, you see that each of these states really responds very well to adequate nutrition, adequate antioxidants, adequate minerals. So our vote is do the alkaline diet. And in fact, we've written a whole book on that.
Yeah, so go ahead. I was just add to that by saying that at least in the literature that looks at memory, the Mediterranean diet, which I think is not too far off from what Susan is saying, has been really shown to do a lot to protect the brain. It's mostly a grain-based diet, just like you were saying, lots of fruits and vegetables, low in animal protein, and I think that's the key across the board. The less animal protein, the better to keep a healthy mind and a healthy body.
Right.
Absolutely. I think both of you are right on, and the more we can eat alkaline to help balance our body, lower our animal protein intake, make sure we're avoiding the processed foods, the fried foods, the packaged foods, the refined foods. I think all of those things are really important. And I think it's also really important to look at not just what we're eating, but how we're eating. And so after my trip to India last year, I got very involved with Ayurvedic medicine and studying Ayurvedic medicine. And our digestive fire is known as Agni. And what I learned is that it's strongest around 12, 1 o'clock in the middle of the day. And so one of the best things we can do for ourselves is to actually eat our largest meal at that time during the day and eat a smaller dinner. And I did this myself, and one of the great side effects was without changing anything else, I lost 5 pounds. And we know that caloric restriction is also very known for slowing down the aging process. And so by eating our large meal in the middle of the day, eating less at night, we're allowing our digestive fire to digest the food we eat, actually utilize it, extract the nutrition, and not create toxic residues in our body. So I would highly recommend everyone give that a shot.
Yeah, and you have to. There's something to be said for that. You know, with the way they're eating in India, it's been thousands of years of some very very healthy and well and long living people. It's a fascinating practice. So that's great advice. So Susan, you had mentioned you know, making sure that you're getting adequate amounts of antioxidants through your food. So how do antioxidants help with anti-aging, and do you have a particular favorite antioxidant food source?
Sure. You know, antioxidants are these compounds that allow the body to absorb free radicals. A lot of the damage, a lot of the inflammation in the body that occurs is because of this chemical process, almost an oxidation, just almost like a rusting within your tissues. And so antioxidants are actually provided in the plant kingdom because the plants need protection. They need protection from sunlight, from bacteria, from molds, from virus, and so they're very rich in antioxidants. And the antioxidants are often expressed in colors. So the simplest way to get a nice profile of antioxidants is to eat a very colorful diet. And in fact, of course, some of my favorite antioxidants are the very colorful berries. And if you've studied antioxidants at all, you'll remember, you know, blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, all these things are very high in antioxidants, as are the dark colored fruits like prunes and the vegetables, the colorful vegetables, the colorful fruit. In fact, the Japanese dietary guidelines a few years ago suggested you eat vegetables, foods of every color. And I think that's a really simple, very nice guideline to follow, particularly the fruits and vegetables that are very colorful.
Right, and I would only add to that that part of those antioxidants are coming from the flavonoids, and we're seeing the flavonoids in all of those fruits and vegetables you just mentioned. Another fun way to get your flavonoid fill is through cocoa, and cocoa flavonoids have recently been shown to be very important, not only as antioxidants but also for brain function.
Right, right.
Okay. Yeah. So, can strengthening the body-mind connection help a person to stay younger?
Of course.
How is that?
Well, you know, there's a lot of really fascinating traditional science, like the ancient Chinese medicine or Ayurvedic medicine, and all of this points to the fact that the mind-body is really one single unit. We tend to sort of separate it, but it's one single unit, and that the intelligence through that unit is flowing smoothly. Like, it's almost like you could envision a network of information and intelligence. And we today, with our lifestyle, we develop a lot of disruptions in the network. And so simple practices like mindfulness, like paying attention to what you do, paying attention to even something as simple as how you're walking, certainly practices such as meditation really cultivate the stabilization and the amplification of what we call that mind-body connection. It's so important for bone health that we've produced a CD with meditations for bone health, because our thought and the state of our mind is the most powerful facility that we have. So meditate, everyone.
Yeah, I'd like to add to that. Morning, when I was doing my morning meditation, I had an experience that I thought was very appropriate for how the mind-body connects with the aging process. So I'm at my altar doing my meditation, and right next door to me, they're building a new house. And the workers like to show up very early in the morning, usually when I like to meditate, and they're banging away with their hammers and making all this noise. And I'm meditating while this is going on. And to me, I just took it in as part of the experience. I was actually enjoying the richness, the sound that the hammer was making as it hit the wood. But when I finished meditating, I thought it was all my perception, because I could have very easily gotten really pissed off and annoyed, and why are they banging and they're interrupting my peace? And I thought it really relates to the aging process. And so how do we perceive the aging process? Do we get up in the morning and do we look in the mirror and do we see a gray hair and get upset and want to color it and think we're getting old? Or do we look in the mirror and see a gray hair and go, all right, well, I got that one from 10 years in medical school, and I got this one when my kids were giving me trouble, and just appreciate that these gray hairs are just, you know, well earned and part of life and part of the process and the opportunity to grow and expand ourselves. So I think the mind-body connection is involved in everything in our health, but especially with aging, how we feel and how we think about it and how we perceive it has such an effect on how our bodies manifested.
And just to build on that, I think a lot of people, when they hear, well, you should meditate, get a little bit intimidated and they're not sure how and whether they're doing it correctly. A really nice resource is a book called The Relaxation Response, written by Herbert Benson. He's a Harvard doctor who also actually has created something at Harvard called the MindBody Institute, very appropriately. And it's a nice little book that gives a short little how-to, and it really, I think, breaks it down and makes it very accessible for people who've never heard about meditation or have had any access to it, and make you realize that just about anyone can do it. And once you get to be experienced at it, something you can do quickly and with no difficulty at all.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things I tell patients all the time is that, because that's what you always hear, oh, I don't know how to meditate. I've tried to meditate and I can't do it. I can't keep my mind focused. And that's when I explain to them that that is the meditation. It's training yourself to be present, to bring yourself back to the moment, to not judge yourself. It's just like we wouldn't go to the gym and expect to have giant biceps without putting in the work and lifting the weights. And so it's definitely a misconception out there that people don't know how to meditate. There is no right or wrong. There just is the act of doing it.
And a very simple little starter is breathing. The breath really is what connects us to to spirit, and just even taking a few minutes, just doing some deep breathing exercises, you'll find the mind quiets down. That can be a simple thing. Just spend a couple minutes a day doing some deep breathing, and it'll reinforce that mind-body connection also.
Yeah, that's a recommendation that we make to women all the time, is just
Right.
start with the deep breathing for de-stressing, for quieting the mind, and really not approaching meditation as a thing that is another stressor, a thing that you're worried about doing wrong, or a thing, because people say, I've tried, and like you were saying, Sharon, that it's something that I'm not good at, or I don't know how to do, but it's little steps, and that's why it's called a practice, a meditation practice, because it's constantly growing and evolving, and
Right.
you grow and evolve with it. So, yeah, I love that. So our next question, does sleeping more at night really help you to live longer?
Absolutely. I am a big fan of sleep, and I mean, I can get into a little bit about the hormones and what happens, but one of the things I just tell patients is just try it.
Try it.
Being overworked as women and doing so many things, so it's like actually make the time, put down the email, put down the remote control, and just go to bed and see what happens after you sleep for 8 hours a night for 30 nights in a row, and the way you feel will reveal the. When we sleep, we're inducing melatonin release. If we are sleeping, we are balancing our leptin and our ghrelin hormones, which helps to balance appetite. We are balancing cortisol levels. We're releasing human growth hormones. So there's so many benefits and things that are happening while we're lying there, quote, doing nothing.
And certainly
To address with patients.
Certainly in regards to bone health, the studies are very clear that if you have adequate sleep, maybe 7 to 8 hours a week, you will have better health, bone health. If you have sleep apnea, you're more likely to have osteoporosis. If you have another sleep disruption, it impacts bone, even to that isolated level of bone. We see the sleep is very important. All activity is based on rest. So we see that natural law of rest and activity.
Yeah, it's so beneficial, and we all have felt that. I think that if we've gone a day jet lagged or sleep deprived for some reason, you feel that instantly, let alone what the long-term effects of that are. So we all know that as we age, the level of many of our hormones tend to decline. Is there anything that we can do about that? Anyone?
Well, certainly, it's it's my universal response. We can enliven the intelligence in the body through practices, mindful practices, through meditation. Like Deepak Chopra showed many years ago, that people who meditated had a higher level of DHEA. DHEA is that sort of good lady youth hormone of the adrenals, where cortisol is the stress hormone. And just by the act of meditating, people ended up with a DHEA that was that of a person 10 years younger than they were as they age. So that's a real simple example, much less all of the production of thyroid. All the hormones are regulated, of course, by the brain, by the glandular system, which is so infected by stress and so impacted when we can enliven intelligence by bringing energy and awareness into the system.
That's such a great point, Susan. I think that often in our society, we just want to jump to taking a pill and we forget the things that we can do lifestyle-wise. And it is a normal process in the body that hormone production does start to decline. And so by doing lifestyle changes, by utilizing nutrients and herbs if necessary, we can start to replenish and help with balancing the hormones. And of course, in my practice, I've used extensively bioidentical hormone replacement for those patients who needed it, and the results are, just marvelous. I've literally had patients drop to their knees, kiss my feet. I've had patients' husbands send me flowers for just giving them back their wives, and so there's no reason we should suffer. There's always a solution, and there's always something we can do to help bring balance so that we can age gracefully and comfortably.
Right. Okay. So and I guess this is to each of you individually, what one thing do you make sure to tell your patients or clients about aging? One thing. Julie?
Well, basically, and I guess everyone's heard this before, but it's better than the alternative. So, where I am in South Florida, I have a very large geriatric population, and I think it's all a matter of perspective. It's all relative. I'll have someone come in 85, 86 years old telling me how old they are, and waiting right around the corner is someone who's 90 years old, and then 95, and then 100. So I think it's really about the way that you view yourself and understand that as long as there's a tomorrow, there's good things ahead of you potentially.
And what about you, Susan?
I tell my clients that aging is a wonderful opportunity. It's an opportunity for many, many people to explore their inner dimensions, the responsibilities of family, the responsibility of the children. Their parents are probably already in their recycling process. It's an opportunity to take time with yourself and to really explore your soul and to see what things do you still want to do. Where could you really become engaged in life? How much have you fulfilled your soul's mission on this earth, and what else would be invigorating and exciting to do? So I see it as aging, and I talk to my clients in that way. And I try to fire them to get interested. There's so much fun that could lie ahead and so much evolution.
Always important to have a passion, you know,
Exactly.
at any age. Right. And how about you, Sharon? What do you tell your patients?
Wow, those are two really great responses. They kind of stole some of my answers. So what my patients, I tell them it's non-optional. I tell them aging rocks. If I had a choice to go back and be 20 instead of 46, no way. I'm staying right where I am. I love the process. I love the knowledge I have. I love the wisdom gained. And I love to leave them and leave you all with a quote by George Bernard Shaw, where he says, "We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing." And so I always encourage my patients, and I have been known to, again, pull out that prescription pad and write down, go to the beach and build the sandcastle. If you come to my house, I have a hula hoop. We can play hopscotch. You know, just have some fun.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's all fantastic advice, ladies. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's all that we have as far as questions for today. I want to thank you all for watching our Women's Health Network Google Hangout. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Google Plus to watch future hangouts on other juicy and hot health topics. So Susan, Sharon, and Julie, thank you so much for joining me today. We will talk to you next time, and everyone take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.